This is one of the better plays for the Elks where he's getting some more time. He tells the wide receiver where to go, and he lands the ball on target. So that was a pretty good play, wasn't it? To give you an update on the injuries, there are three injuries on the Edmonton Elks. Brett Boyko and Martez Ivy are both offensive linemen, and Martez looks like he could play, while Boyko likely will not. There's sort of he's questionable. Well, Arkell Smith, the wide receiver, is also questionable. So you might see all three. You might only see the one being Martez Ivy. And now for the Alouettes, it looks a little bit more desperate, where they have two offensive linemen, two quarterbacks, a running back, a defensive line, well, two defensive backs and defensive linemen that are all on the injury list. That being said, I think that it won't affect their play during this game. So, take it with a grain of salt, though. Um, the Edmonton Elks should be healthy. The Alouettes are a little bit beaten up. Out of that list of the Alouettes, though, Charleston Rambo, the wide receiver, will be available, and so will the running back, Stevie Scott. Everyone else is just completely out. So it is always those are the worst positions too. Two offensive linemen, and two defensive backs. Not great. But any case, let's get into the meat of things, shall we? What I find notable about the Edmonton Elks is that I'm not necessarily a fan of their quarterback play. He can scramble with the ball. He's not highly accurate. I think he's better on the run. He's better at improvising, is what the broadcasters say. In that last clip that you saw, he was able to improvise very well. However, for the Alouettes to handle the Elks, Trey Ford will be more susceptible to a quarterback's spy, or ideally, I think the Alouettes won't even go that route. All they have to do is play in base, and Trey Ford will eventually throw the ball, and the defensive back is going to make a sure-handed tackle. Sometimes the defensive back will knock it out. Sometimes there'll be a sure-handed tackle. You just play in front of the ball on defense for long enough, the Edmonton Elks are going to sputter out. And what do I mean about base defense? I believe that limiting your blitzes and focusing more on the actual pass coverage will be all the Alouettes will have to do, because I think that their defensive tackles will be able to pressure Edmonton. I think Trey Ford is most dangerous when he's running, whether that's running with the ball. Not advisable for me, but he may as well do that because I think the Elks will need a new passer in the future, anyways. He's not someone that they're just going to sit on and have a career in Edmonton for 7 years. That rarely happens in the CFL, anyways. It's usually 1 year contracts. But he's not somebody you hit your star to. If I was the coach, if I was the general manager, if I owned the organization, I wouldn't. I'll get more into that details once we actually go to the stats of their last game to talk about the improvements or devolution of the Alouettes, but it looks like improvements as far as I'm concerned as we go to the next clip. Here's a nice little play I think about sometimes where he finds his receiver and he just dives right in there. Touchdown, Alouettes. Please take a moment to orient yourself to the current standings heading into week 3. You see that the East is particularly weak, with teams that lost against their Western brethren have been able to beat on the East, except for the Alouettes. If the Alouettes can win this week, they'll be able to extend that lead. Is it hyper important in the conference race? Well, not conference, the divisional races right now? I wouldn't say so, but all the same, just a really good pace for the Alouettes early into the season. They already look like they're in top form, while the Elks, if they fall down to two losses, the Stampeders and Rough Riders will be hard to catch. Now, there's enough games to bounce back, but I think the Lions have showed themselves have a tiebreaker with the Elks, and they've showed themselves to be very much superior. I have a very bad feeling about the Red Blacks, but I think the Elks are a scale less talented than the Red Blacks, despite being more disciplined. The Argonauts might have 2 losses, but I think they're a good organization. The Tiger Cats have 2 losses. I think the Argonauts are probably better than the Tiger Cats, but this is off of point differentials. While the Blue Bombers, I want to see more of. They could be really good. I think they're a good team, but the Stampeders are the ones that really proved me wrong. They're a good team. Lions are good. Just the West Division is seemingly stacked because I like the Lions as well. These three three teams that are at the top of the West all seem good. Seem like good teams, and the Lions seem like a good team. The Lions went over a cap. They had better be good, right? As we go to the next clip. Here's a nice scoring play to share with you guys. They get on the goal line. They were able to stop the Lions twice in the same scenario as Trey goes in for the score. Look at this from the side. Oh, he did get stopped, but he had enough fortitude to push forward. What a nice play. Touchdown. You're not gonna like this, but I think Trey Ford is very average, if not below average. So he's an average at completing the ball with 18 out of 27. And Ford was only getting it 6.6 yards average right there. I want to see 7, and I don't see 7. 6 is, I could call it average, but it's beneath my expectations out of a professional thrower. In any of these leagues, you have to throw an average throw from you should be above 7, or your job might be at risk. Now, does he spread the ball out pretty well? Yeah, not really. He's still focusing on 2, maybe 3 wide receivers when you look at the targets column right there under receiving. Do I like that he's running the ball? No, I usually wouldn't, but he has to do something as the starter, and I'm not seeing it as a thrower, so you may as well have this sort of change up scrambling by Trey Ford. But you see that Justin Rankin was not providing the balance. He carried for less than 4 yards per attempt. Not good enough, especially in Canadian football, because you only have 3 downs to get over the line, namely 2 when it's not crunch time. Whereas in American football, 4 yards per carry is good. I think this is where the differences in the two sports sort of impact, where 3.4 average is nothing to hang your hat on. Not at all. While the defense, they had 1 tackle for loss. The Lions seem to be very comfortable. I think the tackle for loss, it's just going to happen. It wasn't because the Edmonton Elks were able to scheme something magnificent, or they didn't just have a physical performance from Nick Anderson there. It was sort of a circumstantial tackle for loss, if you could say that. But I'm not going to say that about the guy. He's the best guy on their team in terms of the defense. I'm not going to pass that hard of a judgment on him. So, but he's definitely the class of that unit, and unfortunately, he needs a little bit more help than what he has on his team. Just like the Elks, the Alouettes pull up strong on defense, stopping that quarterback, and they're going to try it again, and stuffed. The amount of passing yards you see there is not good enough, while the rushing yards, despite having less than the Lions, is inflated because of the quarterback scrambling. It's always ill-advised for me anyways. While penalties look bad and that sort of thing, just in general, I don't think that they were talented enough to handle the Lions in this match. And I suppose the box score showed it, so you know exactly what happened. we'll just move on to the next slide and move things along a little bit quicker here. Let's see him do what he does best. He's escaping. Oh, that's a lot of athleticism there. He's able to run laterally into the side very well right there. Davis Alexander, for his part, was able to get over 70% accuracy. If you go 23 out of 32, it's 71% right there. He threw for over 300 yards. I do see the interception. He has above 7 yards on average. He's at 10. It's really, really good. Don't really put much stock into the long throw. It's there. But he's just good at finding people and hitting them. He improved from week 1 to week 2 in terms of his accuracy. Hopefully he works on that interception, but, he's there. Whereas Travis Thace, he's running enough yards to put a balance on there. 12 carries is enough. And with the addition of Erling, it goes to 95, but that's basically 100 yards rushing. That's all we need, right? There were 4 primary targets for his receivers. That's what I like to see. Yeah, they did really good work right there. And then you see the defense, where I think the defensive line will be able to put on the pressure. While I would suggest, I don't know what the Alouettes are going to do, but I would just suggest a base defense. If Trey Ford starts running the ball well on his own, then you install a spy. But let's see how your base defense goes, and then we'll adjust it from there. And maybe take it easy. I wouldn't put anyone in that's on the injury list. I would just rest them. I think that the Alouettes just have a little bit more talent, sad to say. I want you to look at the velocity of the ball right here from Davis Alexander, just going through the air like an arrow. Very good. Here we have the stats in their last game. It was a really good performance. Again, I would say that the you can't glean that much from this, except for there was enough. There was an exemplary amount of passing and rushing. They were able to get home on the Red Blacks. They were able to sack them. They were able to hit them in the backfield when it wasn't the quarterback. They were able to intercept the ball. They were able to pressure. They were able to do everything they need to do. They're a complete team. Not much else to be said except if they continue playing to their caliber, they should be fine in this game against Edmonton. Let's see some special teams action here with the Elks receiving the ball. Brings it up, finds a little seam, powers through. He has his burst right there, and they shove him out of bounds. Really great return. At the 30, it looks like. Yeah, you already know it. I think the Alouettes are going to win. They are a 6.5 favorite. That means to get the points, they have to score at least 7. I think they're going to score maybe 3 touchdowns on these guys, if not more. More points than that. I think that's well in hand. And if they're a 6.5 favorite, then you already know it. Then you can also go money line and say that just straight up pick them. You have to spend like $335 to do that. Again, I'm not an advocate for gambling. Sort of as a Catholic, I don't think I would ever go with the gambling sponsorship. I just wouldn't feel like I should do that. Just morally, just for my personal, religious sort of theological, emotional well-being, I'm not going to do that. I would support other products, but not that. But the Elks are just going to be out-talented because the Montreal Alouettes don't have to scheme that much. They can just go into base, and they can make their adjustments from there. Just stay in base and then see how that goes, and then go off of that as you head into halftime, but it should be fine. Alouettes over the Elks. Bye for now.